I spent this morning looking at finishing off all of the Winky Guard tunics, and to do this I was just overlocking the head hole of all of the tunics, and also the bottom hem if any of that had been missed. And also for the alterations, some of them had been folded under quite a bit, so the hem had a really large bit that was flapping out and was coming out the side. So I cut it and I shortened it, and I used the overlocker to go over these seams, because the fabric that I was using for them frays really easily, and because they're going to have to wear them so much, I'd rather it was just that extra bit more secure. And then for the head holes, once they've been overlocked, I folded it down once and sewed all the way around to hold it down and make it look a bit tidier. Not all of them went so well, because it was quite a fiddly and it was quite round. It made it quite difficult to make them as even as they could have been. So I think I could have been slower and more consistent with getting my stitching line parallel to the side of in a parallel line running all the way around to the side of the hem. And I also did the same with the very bottom of all of the Winky Guard tunics, because I just had the overlocked bottom and I turned it up in and sewed over it, and they went pretty well compared to the head hole, because it was easier because they were just straight, they were flatter, and the curve is what made it harder. I also then looked at adding elastic to the sides, just 2 pieces. This will make it easier for it to stay on them, because they will be having some kind of belt, but it's better if the tunics can just exist by themselves without flapping everywhere. For some of the tunics I had to consider putting more or less on the sides of elastic as to how it would fit the actor. And I used a relatively wide elastic just to give it that bit of extra coverage. Something I did have trouble with these was when I was sewing it, I would sew it to the wrong side or with a twist in them, so I'd have to unpick it and redo it, because if the elastic on this side was connected to the left side of the tunic, they wouldn't be able to put it on. And something else I was looking at was the Tin Man again, because his costume had become very tacky, really, really sticky. Maybe because of how the paint dried. I'm not sure why the conditions led to it to be so sticky, but it was, and it needed to be solved. So first of all, I tried using a polish to just try and see if I could get that layer of stickiness off, if it was just like a residue that could be wiped off. So I used a cloth and a bit of polish to try and put it off, and it did pull most of the stickiness off, but it also took quite a bit of the paint and the texture. So it's still, this was the piece I used to polish it. It still is quite shiny and does have some of the texture and the paint layers, but not as much as the other ones. It's a lot probably duller, I'd say, maybe, and less textured. So I wasn't really very happy with that method. So then I tried corn flour, as I researched to see what could work, and I thought it was worth a try because it's very, very available. It's in most people's kitchens, so it was easy to access, and I wasn't expecting it to work so well, but it really did. It took all of the stickiness away. So I tried it on a different piece which I hadn't used the polish on, and the paint is slightly duller, as you would expect from covering it in dust, but it's not as much as I expected it to be, and the stickiness is completely gone here. So I'm going to, after half term, cover the rest of the body, legs and arms in corn flour to take away the stickiness.